Imagine, just for a second, taking an entire lifetime, all the incredible triumphs, the truly devastating failures, and the unparalleled genius of one person, and somehow boiling all of that down into just a handful of minutes. Sounds impossible, right? But Steve Jobs, undeniably one of the most brilliant leaders of our time, did exactly that during his legendary 2005 Stanford commencement address. So today, we're unpacking that exact blueprint in this explainer. We're taking his 50 years of hard-earned life lessons and condensing them into a fast, powerful journey that could legitimately spark a massive shift in how you view your own life.
So let me ask you straight up, can 50 years of wisdom actually be gained in just 15 minutes? Well, when you analyze the structure and the raw core messages of Jobs' speech, the answer is a resounding yes. You see, he didn't get up there and give some boring, generic corporate keynote. He literally just shared 3 stories from his life. No giant abstract theories, no fluff, just 3 very real, deeply personal stories.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda, following Jobs' exact rule of 3. 1. Connecting the dots. 2. Love and loss. And 3. Death and life's invention.
Number 1. Connecting the dots. You've really got to look at the stark contrast of his early years. Jobs was adopted by working-class parents, and they literally spent their entire life savings to send him to a wildly expensive college. But after just 6 months, he just couldn't see the value in it. He had absolutely no idea what he wanted to do with his life, so he made the terrifying decision to just drop out. And man, his life right after that was harsh. He didn't have a dorm room, so he was sleeping on the floor in his friends' rooms. He was returning empty Coke bottles just to get the 5-cent deposits to buy food. Every single Sunday night, he would walk 7 miles across town just to get one good, solid meal at the Hare Krishna temple. But here's the crazy part. Because he dropped out, he was able to drop in on classes that actually caught his eye, like this seemingly totally useless calligraphy class. He sat there learning about serif and sans serif typefaces, studying what makes great typography so great. It was purely artistic, no practical application whatsoever. But 10 years later, when he was designing the very first Macintosh computer, it all came rushing back to him. He built all of that stunning typography directly into the Mac, making it the very first computer with beautiful fonts.
Think about it. When he was sleeping on the floor and auditing random calligraphy classes, it was literally impossible to see how it would all perfectly align in the future. You just can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And what that means for us is that you have to trust in something right now. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever it is. Believing that the dots will eventually connect down the road gives you the absolute confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you completely off the well-worn path.
Number 2. Love and loss.
30. That is the exact age Jobs was when the unthinkable happened. Keep in mind he had started Apple in his parents' garage when he was just 20. By the time he hit 30, they'd exploded from just 2 guys in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. They had just released their absolute finest creation, the Macintosh. And then he got fired. From the very company he built. He had hired someone to help him run things, their visions totally clashed, the board of directors sided with the new guy, and boom, Jobs was out. It was a massive, highly public failure.
Now at first, obviously he was absolutely crushed. He even thought about running away from Silicon Valley entirely. But slowly, this incredible realization dawned on him. He still loved what he did. Being fired didn't change his passion one bit. Actually, that devastating loss completely freed him. The heavy, crushing burden of being successful was suddenly replaced by the incredible lightness of being a beginner again. He was less sure about everything, but he was totally free. And that spark? It ignited the most creative period of his entire life. Over the next 5 years, he founded Next, he founded Pixar, which by the way went on to create Toy Story, the world's first computer-animated feature film, and he fell in love with the woman who would become his wife.
And in this crazy, remarkable turn of events, Apple ended up buying Next, which brought Jobs right back to Apple. Looking back, he realized that the only thing that kept him going during that dark, painful period was that he truly loved what he did. You've got to find what you love. Your work is going to fill a massive part of your life, and the only way to be genuinely satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Seriously, do not settle.
Number 3. Life's greatest invention.
When Jobs was just 17 years old, he read a quote that went something like this: "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made a massive impression on him. In fact, for the next 33 years, he maintained this exact uncompromising morning routine. Every single morning, he'd look in the mirror and ask himself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer was no for too many days in a row, he knew right then and there he needed to change something.
Remembering that you are going to die is quite literally the best way to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is absolutely no reason not to follow your heart.
About a year before he gave the Stanford speech, Jobs faced the ultimate, terrifying test of this exact philosophy. At 7:30 in the morning, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. His doctor basically told him it was almost certainly an incurable type of cancer and gave him a life expectancy of just 3 to 6 months. He was told to go home and get his affairs in order, which, as Jobs pointed out, is just doctor code for prepare to die. He lived with that heavy diagnosis all day long. But later that evening, they did a biopsy, and miraculously, the doctors discovered it was a super rare form of pancreatic cancer that was actually curable with surgery. He had the surgery, and thankfully, he survived.
Having stared death right in the face like that, his perspective became sharper than ever. He shared this incredibly profound thought. He said, "Nobody wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. Yet, death is the destination we all share." And honestly, that is exactly as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's ultimate change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. He told the students sitting there, "Right now, you are the new. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away."
Because of this stark, unavoidable reality, his advice to them was rapid-fire, urgent, and so powerful. Because your time is strictly limited, do not waste it living someone else's life. Do not be trapped by dogma, which is just living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the loud noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And above all else, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. Somehow, they already know what you truly want to become. Everything else, it's just secondary.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
This brings us to the real emotional peak of our explainer. Jobs closed his speech with a phrase he found on the back cover of an old catalog from when he was young. It's a final sign-off that has since echoed all around the world. Stay hungry, stay foolish. It is so wonderfully simple, yet infinitely deep, you know? To stay hungry means to never, ever lose your drive. You have to maintain this insatiable appetite to achieve, to do more, to push the boundaries of what's actually possible. And to stay foolish means to never trick yourself into thinking you know it all. Maintain the humility of a pure beginner. Be foolish enough to take big risks, to try things everybody else says won't work, and to constantly recognize that you always, always have more to learn. It was his wish for himself, and it was his parting wish for that graduating class.
And there you have it. That is how you condense 50 years of extraordinary, hard-hitting wisdom into a framework every single one of us can use right now. We've connected the dots of his past, we've learned how devastating loss can actually fuel a deeper love for your craft, and we've seen how the very real prospect of death clarifies what truly matters. So I am going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own life right now. Are you living someone else's dogma? Are you carrying around the heavy burden of success instead of embracing the lightness of a beginner? Ask yourself, what are you hungry for today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparks that explosive change in your own journey. Keep learning and stay foolish.